I'm making this video for myself, and I hope that after I make this video, I can overcome perfectionism. It's quite funny because in the previous video, I was talking about how I came to solve my problem of indecisiveness. But in the process of making that very video, I was being indecisive all along. I lost count how many takes I did for that video. And this has to stop. I think there is a correlation between indecisiveness and perfectionism. I guess perfectionism is the root cause of indecisiveness. Whenever I cannot make a decision, it's not like I don't know what to do. Actually, I have a few options available to me. The options of what I need to do and the consequences of each action. And I am aware of every option. However, because I just want to be perfect, I don't know which would be the most effective option to me. Therefore, I'm hesitant to make that damn decision. So now, in order to get rid of these very bad characteristics, I need to overcome my perfectionism. And I hope that by doing so, I can also get rid of my indecisiveness. So the first thing I want to talk about is who have inspired me to make these videos. If you have subscribed to my channel, not that many of you have, but still, you have already known why I decided to create this channel, because I did make one introduction video talking about the reason why. But today I still want to talk about it again because now I have started making long form content, and before I was just focusing on short form content. But I mean, these long form videos resonate more with me and they are more in line with how I want to share my thoughts and tell my stories. And the people who have inspired me to start this channel is John and Green Hank. What I love about them is that they don't seem to put a lot of effort in creating the videos. I'm sure that the behind the scene work is a lot. However, from the perspective of an outsider, of just a viewer like me, it doesn't seem like they have put a lot of effort compared to other famous and successful YouTubers. However, they still reach the same level of success and fame, and I'm just in awe. And I feel like the only thing that those two people focus on in creating content is the quality of their content, their stories, their messages, and that's just enough. I feel like in a materialistic world as today, that's so rare, because when you look at everything around you, it seems like the main mission of everything has just been lost in an effort to beautify the outside experience, the physical experience. Thanks to them, I have decided to create this channel. What I hope to achieve in this channel is just to purely focus on the messages and the stories I'm gonna share with you. And at the end of the day, if no one else is watching these videos, they are still invaluable to me because they are like the audiovisual entries of my digital diary. And one day I can look back and I can see how I was thinking back then, and it's gonna be quite interesting. So I want to talk about constraints. A big part of my work is to do research because I work in academia. And there's one thing about research which I got wrong before. I used to think that I needed to have an abundance of resources at my fingertips in order to conduct research and studies. However, I was very wrong. So in the past, I procrastinated a lot whenever I had to do research because I kept thinking, oh, I didn't have enough resources yet. And by resources, I mean the articles, the books relevant to your subject, your topic, like I didn't have enough of them yet, then I couldn't work at all. However, I got to know the idea of constraints and it literally transformed the way I work, and I'm gonna put credits on the screen for you to check it out too. Yeah, I just love that podcast so much, and the conversation between those intellectuals has really enlightened me and has transformed the way I think about constraints. Yes, constraints are the things that prevent me from having access to every single material relevant to my topic of research. However, the thing is that I don't need every single material relevant to my study in order to conduct research. That is just an absurd way of thinking, and constraints are just there to help me actually because they are the determinant for me to make decisions in my work. So now with constraints, I can finally decide quickly on matters at work. For example, I was writing a literature review and there is a word count cap, 2,000 words. And the moment I knew that I could only write 2,000 words for this review, I quickly decided on the important parts or sections that would be included in my review. I not known about the word CalCut, I would just keep researching and including every single section which I deem relevant to my study without prioritizing the most important sections that should only be included in my literature review, and everything else, even though they are relevant, they are not as important as other sections, and I have to prioritize here. The benefits of having constraints to me is that now I can make decisions so much more quickly, and I can prioritize and focus on areas that are truly important to what I'm doing at the moment. Thanks to those benefits, especially the quick decision-making process, now I actually get to complete my work before I start hating it, and it just frees up a lot of time for me to do other tasks in my life, or just to enjoy my hobbies, and I am not tied up to doing my work all the time now, which is just a huge relief. So the key takeaway is that constraints actually free you up instead of limiting you. Trust me. The second thing I want to talk about is honesty. I was brought up to be an honest person. My parents didn't allow me to lie. Because of that upbringing, I feel very guilty whenever I lie. I feel like it's something that's so wrong, and it's something that you shouldn't do. There was a very long time when I constantly told myself this message, and at the moment when I look back, I think it's very wrong. I kept telling myself that I need to be honest for the sake of my own happiness. If I can be honest, and if I have the courage to be honest, because boy oh boy, you need lots of courage in order to live an honest life in this day and age. And I thought that if you are just honest to other people, you would attract honest people to your life, If you can just be vulnerable and tell the truth all the time and let people know your true self, you don't have to hide anything, and it's so easy for people to reveal themselves to you, and at that point you can just decide whether you would let those people in your life. But honestly speaking, like now I'm very honest, it just doesn't work when I enter the workplace, because time and again people just take advantage of my honesty, and it's become my weakness, People literally use me because of my honesty, and after suffer from lots of drawbacks and disadvantages and bad treatments from people around me just because I was being honest, I learned this lesson. Honesty is still something I value a lot, and I still believe in the saying that honesty is the best policy to a certain degree, especially with yourself. You need to be honest. You need to know thyself. And the only way for you to know yourself very well is to be honest with yourself. Am I doing this right? Am I treating myself well? Am I being good to the people who love me and who care for me? Like, you need honesty with yourself, And you also need to be honest with the people who truly care for you and who truly love you. Your family, your friends, your loved ones, those people deserve your honesty. And then the rest you just kind of have to pick and choose, whether you should be honest with them. And this is my lesson. There are a lot of people who never deserve your honesty. It's not wrong for you to tell the lies. It's not wrong for you to be dishonest. It's absolutely right when it comes to working with those people and having to exist in the same environment with them. It's totally right for you to sometimes lie because they never deserve your honesty. So now that when I think about having children in the future and having to teach them about honesty, I'm gonna be taking a more flexible approach compared to my parents, I'm gonna instill them the lesson that honesty is a valuable thing that you should only keep for yourself and for the people who truly love and care for you. For others, you need to pick and choose because there are many who never deserve your honesty. So I'm gonna close this video by talking about karma, and I'm gonna do it quick because my battery is running low. I don't have a lot of time constraints, however, we're gonna embrace this. Okay, this is again something that I was taught in my childhood, like the idea of giving and receiving and the definition of karma basically. So in my family, my parents, especially my mom, always emphasis on the idea of giving away to the people around you. And that lady, my mom, she really practices what she preaches. She always gives to other people around her, not just the people she knows, but even strangers on the street. She's just a very loving woman, and I think her karma bank is very full. However, as I grow up, I think I really refine my own definition of karma. Now I still give, I give to the people who I think that they are suffering, who I think that they need a little bit help and support. However, I give with the idea that I can give, it's something within my capacity. It's my ability to give. And whenever I cannot give, it's not because I don't want to. I really want to. However, I can't. Constraints again. Why? Because it's not within my capacity yet. Because I don't have that ability to give in that given situation. And it can be a financial reason, or it can be a time constraint reason, or it can be that I do not have enough effort to do so. Whatever the reason is, the ultimate reason why I cannot give in a situation is just because I cannot. Moving forward, I will never think that I'm going to give so that one day I can get something in return, because I feel like life doesn't work like that. Karma, it can be true sometimes, but it's not going to be true all the time. And the motivation for me to give is just because I'm able to, not because I'm going to give with the hope that one day someone else will help me if I ever go through a tough time. So this is for today. See you next weekend.